At long last, we've reached the slave site, the Assin Manso slave site, where slaves were bought all over from Africa, Ghana, North, everywhere. When you get here, you have the national markets here, and that is where they bargain, you know, so they will know who to buy, who not to buy, and on and on. So you go inside and you see and you learn more about how the places and what actually happened here before they reach Cape Coast-Kumasi. So follow me, let's go. I'm here. I want to know what it takes to tour around, you know. I'm here to bring you more about this place. I've been heard several times. Yes. So I'm at the information side. Want to know what we will do. Yes. Hey boss, good morning. How are you doing, sir? What does it cost? So you say if you are a Ghanaian, it's 15 cedis before you get inside. And what if you're a Ghanaian? It's 40 cedis for non-Ghanaian. So I think I have 20 cedis here. Hey, let me do what is needed. So don't forget to follow me on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok on KMK broadcast, you know. That's usual thing. Yeah man.
Follow him.
Yeah man. Okay. Very important, yes. So that we learn more about ourselves, you know. Africans, we need to tell our own story the way it is, right? And that is the good thing to do. So I need to get a receipt, right? Yeah man.
Basically, you welcome to Assin Manso slave market. It was not the largest of the market, because the largest of the market is at the northern part of the country, and the name for that market was the Salaga slave market. But Assin Manso became the busiest of all the markets. Why was it the busiest? It was the busiest because it was closer to the three dungeons, Fort Amsterdam, Cape Coast, and Elmina. So captives that were coming from the largest market at the north have to walk for 700 miles in chains and shackles, barefooted and half naked, before they got in here at Assin Manso. Now, when they got in here at Assin Manso, because they have a river that flows through this market, they capitalized on the river to bathe our ancestors. So after bathing them, they went through their auctioning and they went through their branding at the riverside. After that branding, they were made to march to the dungeons, Fort Amsterdam, Cape Coast, and Elmina, just for them to await for the slave ship. So they stayed in the dungeons for over 3 months in the return of the slave ship. So when the slave ship arrived, they were made to go through a particular door before they were made to go onto the slave ship. And the name on this door is the door of no return. So when you go through that door, there's no way you're ever going to come back home. But now things have changed. Now our brothers and sisters in the diaspora are basically identifying where they are coming from with the search of the DNA test and others, they are coming back home. But in order for their coming back to be very successful, that door of no return needs to be changed to the door of return in order for us to make a statement of our coming back. But how would the door of no return be changed to the door of return? That is why we have two of our ancestors' remains were brought back home to re-enter the country through the infamous door of no return at the Cape Coast dungeons. So after coming through that door, the name on the door would eventually be changed to the door of return. So that is why we have two of our ancestors whose bodies were brought back home to change the door and make it the door of return. And those two are the ones you can see in the graveyard. First on the right, Madam Krista from Kingston, Jamaica, and the one in the middle is Samuel Carson from New York, US of A. So these two remains have to be brought back home to cancel the journey, reverse the journey, and re-enter that door. So on the 31st day of July 1998, they re-entered that door, and the name on that door was changed to the door of return. The following day, being the 1st of August, the two were buried here. Why were they buried here? Because they have to come and tell those they left about their journey. Because this place also served as a burial site for the captives that were buried. So that is why when you are coming through the main gate, you realize that the main gate is very short. So many of you came through like this. Yes, unconsciously, you already paid your respect. before you even come on this path. A representation on this land. So what she did was she also excavated most slave cemeteries, and all the bones that she had, she brought them in a beautiful casket all the way from Barbados, and that is the third tomb that you see over there. So from here, we're going to make a very short walk to the river. When you observe them, they have taken their shoes off, but you're not going to take your shoes off because for them it's a privilege for them. So they treat so many things here differently. But for us, we're going to take a 4 hours walk to the river.
4 hours?
Yes. Ancestral.
And that is the reason why you must return here home, you know. This is your home. You were taken from here to Cape Coast Castle, then from there to wherever. So this is exactly your home. That is why you must also try and visit, you know. You shouldn't just come and go, but rather you should also come and invest, you know. You must come and invest. The year of return is no more a year, but every day, you know, you must try and come back home.
Not only in the struggle to emancipate all the territories in Africa.
So whenever you come in here, some want to reenact, to experience it, to know how it is for people to sacrifice this for them. So for them, when they have the chance to come in here, it becomes like a privilege for them. And sometimes the energies differs. It becomes a very emotional journey for them. So in here, they go through a lot of rituals, a lot when they come over. So sometimes you see them in a different light in here because they have to go through so many rituals and everything. But for us, it is not about for you. It's not about a spiritual journey. It is about an historical part. So with an historical presentation, we don't add the spiritual part to it. That is why I never wanted to even go into spirituality with you. That is why I'm just telling you to just wear your shoes and let's make a short walk. It is not 4 hours, don't worry. It's just 4 minutes.
So what are some of the spiritual journeys that
No, it's not about you to do. Yes, we don't talk about it. We do it. So when you come over here and I started the tour and I know your spiritual connection, you want to.
All of us, we the locals.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to have the spiritual connection. If I tell you about the spiritual connection, the rituals that we do, it is not something that is written in a book, or it's not something that always we should know. It is something about your connection. So when I start my talk and I start my presentation, I'm able to foster that connection with you and I. And I'm able to tell you things that I do and things that I don't do. But I don't talk it out openly. I have people that comes in that are not more connected, I don't talk about it. But when I start with your tongue, we start moving. My spirit in here will connect to you. And I'll know what we have to do on this land. So it's not something that just planned. We don't plan any spiritual thing, it just comes by the connection we have with people.
So my parents still are happy. So what happens to someone like me?
So find a connection.
I just did.
Yeah,
I'm
so
waiting
let's go.
for you. Yes.
So we're walking on the path.
No, you can't.
No, but if you want to do it,
You can't.
I can't impose. To me, I don't expect people to do what
I want you to
maybe
connect.
So I move my shoes.
So we just work on this.
You can connect. You want to? Yes.
And sometimes they just try to connect to their ancestors because most of them want clarity. Most of them want to know where they're coming from. And you don't expect history to just trace you to where you're coming from. Maybe history could tell you where you come from. Which family you're going to be living in. There they will give you the truth where you come from Ghana. And which family you're going to be they belong. Those things are found spiritually. And that spiritual connection. And if you are able to connect really, that is the answers that you get. And that is what I'm doing. Okay. So don't be scared. There's no spirituality that we're going to do. We're just going to add it to. So let's make a short one.
Our independence is meaningless unless it links up the total liberation of the African continent.
You can't. Phil, you can take off your...
So this is the ancestral walkway. So when you are walking on this path, you should always have something in mind whilst you are taking this path. The red, the blood, the black, we're mourning. So when you have these two things in mind and you work on this path, you reflect, you connect to the past and ask yourself so many questions that how were people able to survive this? So this is a state of mourning, trying to reflect and connect to our ancestors. So everything in here has its own meaning. So whenever you come in and you see this, you should know that from this journey to the river, it is where we don't even speak, we don't even talk, but we just try to connect to our forebears, try to understand what they went through, and try to appreciate them. That is why this mark will tell you what to do on this land. Yes.
This mid-20th century is Africa's. This decade is the decade of African independence. Forward then to independence. To independence now. Tomorrow, the United States of Africa. Our enemies are many, and they stand ready to pounce upon and exploit our every weakness. They prey upon our vanities and flatter us in every kind of way. They tell us that this particular person or that particular country has greater or more favorable potentialities than the other. They do not tell us that we should unite, that we are all as good as we are able to make ourselves once we are free. Admit, I find it strange to watch some of us returning willingly to the colonialist fold. This time, they don't even have the excuse of being forced to subject themselves to foreign domination.
Wow.
It makes one wonder.
So basically, we are at a very important part of the history, that is the river. Now, the river you see over here, during the rainy season, you cannot even be allowed to stand where you're standing. Yes, because it's floods all the way to this area. So tourists have to go back and we tell them about the river. But the river you are seeing now are two separate rivers with two different energies. This river is different from that river. When you look carefully in the river, you're going to observe that this river and that river converge differently. The rivers have two different sources. This river is getting its source from the community. We also have this river getting its source from a river called the Pra River. So when you go into Kumasi, you see the Pra River on the way, the very big river. The reason why this became the slave river, this river became the slave river, is because when it gets flooded, it's stagnant, it doesn't move. So it was easier to monitor the movement of the captives in here than in there. Many of the captives were captured in the rainy season, because in the rainy season, when a raider raids your community, he gets the numbers that he wants because everybody had to be in the house. So when they were coming back in here from the north, after taking over 7 months journey, and they landed in here, when they got to the river, they realized that if we try bathing them in this river, they might easily escape or drown. So why don't you rather put them in the stagnant one? Because with the stagnant one, you could easily monitor them. So they put them in this river to help them bathe themselves. The raiders will be on top of this mountain, pointing their guns at them. So anyone that try to escape, you do so at your own risk. But that does not deter them from escaping. Majority, many escape, and those that escape are those that form this community. So Assin Manso, as the name of the community, basically means the capital for the persons in transit. So Assin Manso is a maroon community. So people that from this community doesn't necessarily come to this place. So it's where they went through their auction and dungeon before they were taken to dungeons. But now things have changed. Now those that you saw them coming over, their job is to come over to change the narrative of the past from the door, from the last batch of return, and serve their ancestors their first batch of return. So with the first batch of return, that is where this river is the male energy, and that is the female energy. So we don't disturb the peace of this river. In spirituality, the females are very aggressive and the males are very calm. In the physical world, the males are aggressive and the females are very calm. That's how it works. So we don't disturb the peace of this river because it has suffered so much pain. So when they come over, they have to go through the first battle of return to get to the river of Ama Elisa. So that river's name is Ama Elisa, and this river name is Nnonkonsuo. So they go to the Ama Elisa, the female, and they're going to tell the female about their journey. And they're going to leave all their messages to the female, and they tell the female to take it to the male. Now whatever it is that they came in with, this one should know. So that is why when they come over and they go in there, it becomes so many things. And for me, the reason why I don't talk about it is because it's not an event. It depends on people comes in there and they have a different way of thinking. So when they get in there and you have your own experience and you have your own connection and you want to share what you are or what you have experienced, it is for you to share. But for me, what I have experienced in me, I don't talk about it because I believe that it should be part in me to make me the best version of what I do. So it's a whole lot, and whenever I'm going through this with them, I don't wear this. I have my own apparel that I wear for going through those things, and that apparel is very sacred. I don't normally wear it. So when you come in here to Assin Manso, basically, it is all about that and the diaspora. Don't worry, I'm going to take you down to the river from the first battle of return. You can touch the river, and I'm going to show you some good particles in the river. You love God, so that you can take some from your good work. So let's go.
We are going to the first river. Let's see. Wow.
We have so much of minerals in here that nobody could mine from this river.
Why so much effort and sacrifice and so many lives were given up to the achievement of independence in the first place, if it can only be so quickly and easily surrendered? Face the issue of African unity now. For only unity will make the artificial boundaries and regional demarcations imposed by colonialism obsolete and superfluous.
Stand up, please, and say I am free. Don't forget you are welcome home, welcome home.
So storeroom.
Come with me on this happy trip.
Oh, serious.
Okay, so you're going to go to Kumasi, right? So I wouldn't want to tell you so much about this room because I don't want to take the room of the state of the tour guide because you cannot go to Kumasi without that. But in here, there's two summits here to be seen. That is why I don't want to talk much about it. But when you go to Kumasi and you look at this room, they'll tell you everything. How chief get their names is basically simple. You've been a good chief and you passed on, you'll be given a black stool and your name will be on it. If a new chief is installed like Kofi, you can never name me after a chief. The name Kofi is not important. So I, Kofi, will come to this room blindfolded. At midnight, I pick one of the black stools. The name on it becomes my public name. Now, if I also become a good chief and I die, my name Kofi will also give me a black stool. So that somebody someday will also choose my name. But if you die as a bad chief, everything is thrown away and nobody will remember you. And this was our room in there, but now it has become a tourist site, so we stop using this place. And we have names of some good chiefs, and we have names of some bad ones.
These are the bad chiefs, and these are the good ones. That's it. Can you see Bob Marley there? Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. That is what, as people, we have to do. That is what we need to do now. We must emancipate ourselves. That is what we need now. It's very sad trip, you know. So we've seen the last bat, we've seen the first bat return. You know, it's very, very sad, you know. And that is why you must also try and visit Assin Manso slave market. We've learned something that is actually not the biggest, because the biggest is Salaga slave market, and this is the smallest, but though it's smallest or the smaller one, but it's very important. Why is it important? It's because here is the place that they take their bath, and it's also close to the castles, you know, the Cape Coast Castle as well as the Elmina Castle, very close. So people were preferring, or people chose this place over many other places. You get what I'm saying? So Assin Manso slave market is very important place that you must try as much as possible to visit. You know, the moment you come here, you learn a lot of things, and it will enable you to know why you must connect to your roots, as we heard the tour guide said.
But that today the door of no return has been changed to the door of return. And two of our ancestors changed that door to the door of return. And those two were brought from Barbados, Jamaica, and US of A. And they are those that you can see in the graveyard. On the left, Madam Krista from Krista, Jamaica. And in the middle is Samuel Castle. They changed the door of no return. And today, there's no more door of no return. It is the door of return. And in 2019, the Prime Minister of Barbados also got a representation of this land. So she also excavated Muslim cemeteries and all the bones that she had. And that's the third tomb you see over there.
So at long last, we've come to the end of this tour, you know. It's very interesting. So brother, what have you learned so far? First of all, we want to know who you are, I mean your name and why you chose this place.
Okay, so I am Silas Ne Ajetokai. I'm a resident pastor of Throne of God's Grace Ministries in Cape Coast, specifically behind C Poly, that is Cape Coast Technical University. My experience was so great. You know, I got enlightened to know so much about how our ancestors or our predecessors, what they went through and how they were treated. You know, and I've learned so much. For me, this has been a big revolution. Most importantly, when you called my attention to what has been written behind one poster which says emancipate yourself from mental slavery. You know, so I've come to understand that slavery is not necessarily people putting physical chains on you, you know, but your mental faculty can also be enslaved. So my experience so far, great, and I'll entreat all Ghanaians to also take a visit to this place. This is a very historical place, very rich in history. You know, it's going to be a blessing and an enlightenment to anyone who comes here.
What are you going to tell our brothers out there? I mean, the diaspora.
Visit Ghana, visit Assin Manso slave market. You know, visit historical places that talks about your past and be enlightened. So don't focus on what people are saying in Europe, but visit the real places to know what it's really all about. I think that's what I'll tell them.
So if you are in diaspora, try as much as possible and come back to your roots, come and connect to the spirit, come and know where you belong to or where you come from, you know. You are welcome, we are welcoming you, come any day, anytime, you know, but it must be soon, it must be now, because time waits for no man, my brother. When you come and you see what our ancestors went through, I think you wish to stay, and I want you to also stay and establish something for ourselves. You saw the last statement there, Bob Marley said, we must emancipate ourselves from mental slavery.